Jaden, what do we got for the news?
A lot of interesting things today. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd. Top of the story here. A former FBI agent accused of egging on rioters to attack police during the January 6 riots at the U.S. Capitol is now serving in the Justice Department as part of a so called weaponization working group, sources familiar with the appointment confirmed to ABC News. Jared Wise was on trial when he was pardoned as part of Donald Trump's sweeping series of pardons and commutations for nearly all of the more than 1,500 individuals charged in connection with the Capitol attack. According to sources, Wise is now serving in the department as an investigator and counselor to Ed Martin, the former interim D.C. U.S. attorney whose permanent nomination to the post was rejected by Republican senators concerned with his past vocal advocacy for January 6 rioters and other controversial actions he took in Trump's first 4 months in office. Um, Let's unpack this, okay? Just a few, I don't know, years ago, these people were decrying the very usage of a so called FBI informant as part of January 6th. And now they're rewarding it? They're giving him a seat at the table? I mean, we talk about how cognitive dissonance manifests itself into fascistic thinking. This is exactly that, 101. That one moment he's a traitor and he's a Democrat and he's an FBI informant that led them astray. But no, it's come on in. Here you go. Here's a job. Here's an
Yeah.
appointment to our administration.
Yeah, fascism relies on vast contradictions. That's the entire
Yeah.
point and purpose of it. And those things don't have to be challenged. I think it's kind of interesting, the psychology of it. It really is. Of people not taking accountability for that cognitive dissonance at all. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
really shocking. Really, really shocking. Like, it just, I don't know if it just doesn't click. I'm not really sure what that is. It's delusional for sure, but we
Oh
see
yeah.
this pretty regularly where we love free speech on social media platforms, but also it's okay that must ban people. You know, whatever it is. We see it all the time with the right wing. We point it out in debates pretty regularly. So, Josh, got anything?
No, I don't.
All right, 1 second. Tia, appreciate the 10 gifted. Can we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat for Tia with the 10 gifted? Appreciate you. Tia, as always, thank you. Kelly with the 5. I'll address that in a minute. Trixie, appreciate it. Thank you for the 5. I'll address that in a minute. Joseph, appreciated with the 2. Can we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat for all of them? Thank you, guys. All right, what do you
Thanks.
got for the next story?
All right. A federal judge blocked a Trump administration policy barring migrants who cross the U.S. Mexican border for seeking asylum, issuing a major blow to President Donald Trump, who has sought to seal off access to protections on the border. In a sharply worded decision issued Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss found that the administration overstepped its authority by bystepping immigration law. Reading, the president cannot adopt an alternative immigration system which supplants the statutes that Congress has enacted, Moss wrote. Ruling targeting a signature element of Trump's agenda comes as the administration touts low border crossings. Current and former Homeland Security officials have previously cited the clampdown on the U.S. southern border as contributing to a sharp decline in unlawful crossings. In June, the U.S. Border Patrol recorded just over 6,000 encounters, according to federal data. Earlier this year, immigrant rights advocates, including the American Civil Liberties Union, or Los Americas Immigrant Advocacy Center, and Florence Immigrant and Refugee Rights, sued over a presidential proclamation that effectively shut down asylum at the southern border. The challenges argued that the proclamation endangered thousands of lives by preventing people from seeking refuge in the U.S. Now, the whole concern here has been about legal migration, okay? And asylum seeking is the legal process, and now they're stepping back from that. They're trying to
Right.
withhold one's ability to do that. So, really, the narrative is not can you come in here legally? It's you shouldn't come in here at all, regardless of
Yeah.
how you do it.
Right. He's regularly said that. Yeah, he's regularly said that he wants to go after people that are born in the United States. and he keeps losing because he does keep trying to. These orders are constitutional, obviously constitutional. They're just shoving stuff in there and praying. At this point, it seems desperate. Like he's lost 93% of court cases or something like that, and he claims he's a winner. A 7% win rate, is that a winner? Like he just keeps losing, and they'll go Democratic judges. It's even right wing judges. But even then, you can't argue with the facts of it. He's losing in federal court pretty regularly. At this point, I think it's just getting pathetic. I don't really know what the end goal is here. Like, wouldn't you get tired of losing? You know, you're like a lawyer's like, I gotta file this again. God damn it. All right, yeah, I lost. Okay, yeah, give me another one to file. Like, you know what I mean? It's pretty pathetic. It is pretty pathetic at this.
Apparently, he's got 4 more years left of this. So
4 more years of losing, and we lost jobs today. We lost jobs.
That's right, and it's just about to get into that.
So before we do, like, I look at this new executive order. This is just another remain in Mexico policy. This is just another way for him to say remain in Mexico, which is going to cause the exact same thing. I mean, there are bad people in this world who are going to take advantage. If people are seeking refugee and they're not allowed to cross this country, there are people in this world who are going to take advantage of those people at their lowest points in their life. And he does. He touts we have 0 people coming across the border. Yeah, that's because of fear. We've always been an accepting country, and now out of fear, people are afraid if they come here, they're going to get scooped up and sent to Syria. You know, I mean, this is not the way to do it. This is remain in Mexico all over again.
Yeah. Yep, they're just trying to find new ways to do and implement their policies. Now jobs. Let's talk jobs. I want to talk jobs.
That's right. So here we go. The private sector lost 33,000 jobs in June, badly missing expectations for a 100,000 increase, ADP says. Private sector jobs unexpectedly contracted in June. Payroll processing firm ADP said Wednesday is a potential sign that the economy may not be as sturdy as investors think. Private sector hiring unexpectedly contracted in June, payrolls processing firm ADP said today, in a possible sign that the economy may not be as sturdy as they bid the S&P 500 back up to record territory to the end of the month. Private payroll lost 33,000 jobs in June, the ADP report showed, the first decrease since March 2023. Economists polled by Dow Jones forecast an increase of 100,000 for the month. The May job growth figure was revised even lower to just 29,000 jobs added from 37,000. Though layoffs continue to be rare, a hesitancy to hire and a reluctance to replace departing workers led to job losses last month, Nella Richardson, ADP's chief economist, said in a press release published Wednesday morning.
I want to say this. Someone in the comments said, it seems like you guys want the country to fail. Look at that grin when you made you say lose jobs. Okay, so here's the thing. We don't. We just told you that it would. And now I'm going to sit back with a sheet-eating grin as you guys have to eat your words. He was supposed to bring jobs back. We lost jobs. That's the end of the discussion. You guys said he would bring jobs back. He's losing jobs. That is a complete, colossal, unmitigated failure. There's no way to remove yourself from that cognitive dissonance. He's going to bring back jobs, yet we lost 33,000. That's all there is to talk about, period. And even if you want to say, well, they could do a revision, they could. Maybe it goes up into the positive. There could be a revision. However, Biden created more. Democrats create more. That's all there is to talk about it. Biden created more jobs when adjusted for COVID, because if you don't adjust for COVID, it's really bad. Biden created more jobs adjusted for COVID. It's even worse for Trump. Adjusted for COVID, Biden created more jobs. Nothing else to talk about. It's like 2 million a year, 2.2 million a year. Trump created 1.9. And now we're watching as his policies, his new policies that he's implementing, that he's such a genius, he couldn't figure out the last time he went and tried to implement these. They're destroying the U.S. economy. And I've been pretty accurate on this, because you remember I said it was going to take a couple months where we start watching. Like this is 2 months ago or so, a month ago, where I was talking that eventually we're going to watch this fall off happen, where it's just going to slowly decline. And then it's going to okay, the worry is going to amplify. And that's what we're watching happen. So it's not like I didn't say this wasn't coming. I've been saying this for a long time. So we're finally seeing it materialize. It's going to get worse. And the thing that I talked about was that I hoped that the Trump administration would realize, in reference to that initial comment, that they're making this mistake before it's too late and we end up in economic catastrophe. The whole point I want here is that I want the Trump administration to, I want their policies to fail like they're going to, so that you guys see.
Unemployment is
Did-
also expected to tick up by a percentage point. But
Oops.
I think it's laughable, for one, that frequently what we'll see is them flaunt and tout the jobs reports as they come in and exceed expectations. But what they don't fail to account for is when you look at the jobs lost, it's almost matched, if not greater than the amounts that we gain each month. So I think we may very well see a trend in that direction as well, that we are not creating jobs or replacing the migrant jobs that they claimed at the rate that we otherwise should be. People are losing jobs. And as a result
Right.
of this, we're going to see a contraction in our economy. Whether or not that spells recession territory is to be determined. I think at some point we'll see a recession, but it's really nothing to flaunt and tout as a booming economy right now.
Right. Right. So, Josh, do you have anything? Or can we move on to the next one?
Move on.
All right, next story here. Trump administration freezes billions in funding for after-school and summer programs. Let's get into that one here because, as we all know, Republicans love feeding hungry children. Day camp providers and schools say that Trump's administration's freezing of funds could ruin summer for low-income American families and jeopardize some after-school programs next year. The administration is holding back over $6 billion in federal grants for after-school and summer programs, English language instruction, adult literacy, and more as it conducts a review to ensure grants are aligned with President Trump's priorities. The move creates uncertainty for states and schools as they budget for programs this summer and in the upcoming school year because they don't know if they'll be receiving the funding. Democrats say the administration is flouting the law by holding back congressionally appropriated money. Without the funds, schools say they won't be able to provide free or affordable after-school care for low-income kids while their parents work and may not be able to hire staff to teach children who are learning English. Classes or camps underway this summer could be in jeopardy too. The Boys and Girls Club of America depend on some of the funding to run their camps and other summer programming for low-income students. If it's not restored soon, the program could end mid-season, said the Boys and Girls Club president Jim Clark.
Because the Republicans love, they
love kids.
they love the kids. Remember, that's what they
Protect
tell us.
them
They tell us all the
kids.
time. And this is after last week, Greg Abbott wouldn't pay out $60 million to
right.
kids because he was like, well, we don't know if the federal government is going to give us a $400 million subsidy, which is what was part of that, by the way. So now instead of getting $60 million, they get nothing. This is insane. They say they're the party, they want to protect the kids. They want to protect the kids. But, you know, I think it's more of an abusive relationship, really, if you think about it. Where where they want the kids to live, just be very neglected. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very,
I'm keeping you
very
alive.
neglected. Yeah.
And
think-
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when you combine this with the fact that they're taking away SNAP and camp, so like I went to camp as a kid. I told the story earlier. I went to camp as a kid because I had a single mom and my mom had to work during the day. So that it was a place. It was a babysitter, right? But it was something that I go and I make the what were they called, gink, the little bracelets and stuff like that. Anyway, this is specifically gonna affect single parents. Like they're gonna have to make a decision on do I pay to send my kid somewhere, or do I have to stay home from school, or I'm sorry, stay home from work? This is an attack on single families essentially.
That's right. That was actually what I was about to say. Was looking back at my not too distant childhood, those programs were pretty instrumental. And I remember what it was like to have summer camp every summer when I was growing up. I had a single mom; she was working, and the stresses of having to raise a family alone can really get to you. But these programs certainly do alleviate that. I remember even when I wasn't in doing any kind of day camp or summer school or whatever, there was a truck that would drive by and give out free lunches at the park for free, completely free. A sandwich, milk, fruit, all that stuff, you'd have it completely free. It was paid for by the government. Uh, Having, if like thinking back, if I did not have those additional instruments in my life, I don't know how much worse it could have been or how much hungrier or less active I could have been because of that lack of care. And I think, I worry very much about what the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children in America may be affected by this, how that's going to impact their lives moving forward.
Right. Sean, appreciate the 5 over on YouTube. Republicans have a problem now that they are in charge of the Fed and state. For some, they can't blame each other or push it off to the other. Sean, appreciate the 5. Can we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat? I'm going to read everybody else's messages over there as soon as we're done with the segment. All right.
Got another crazy story here. Coming out of Florida. President Trump approved Florida's plan to expedite deportations by using National Guard members as immigration judges. The plan includes training National Guard officers as immigration judges with a training duration of 6 weeks. Governor Ron DeSantis has been advocating for federal approval on this initiative. Speaking from Ochope, President Trump said on January 20th they signed an executive order empowering governors and state police to be deputized to enforce federal immigration laws, and Ron's already taken advantage of it. Trump expressed his support for DeSantis' proposal, saying, "Yes, he has my approval. That wasn't too hard to get, was it, right? He didn't even have to ask me." The National Guard, in a statement to Wink News, identifying 9 judge advocates who meet the Department of Justice requirements to be trained as immigration judges. Immigration attorney Fola Olanumbi expressed concern with the plan. "Oh my goodness," was my reaction. "Immigration law is very complex," Olamdumi said. With immigration judges, you have to have a certain amount of experience and understanding of the laws in order to be able to do the job. You're going to have people on the bench that don't understand the process, they don't understand immigration law, and so what we're going to see is a lot of it is just this case is going to sit, he or she is going to sit there. They're going to listen, but then they're just going to deny while the process is in place. She said.
Yeah, can you...
What's up?
Mm-hmm. Oh, are you done? I don't know if you're done the segment. Oh, so like the thing is with this is like there's going to be so many reversible errors. Like you're going to stack the appellate court. Stack the appellate court because they don't know what they're doing. A 6-week course? What is this?
A 6-week
there
course,
is
yes.
like... There are times where there's like judges that do that. And like they have stand-in judge or whatever, like fill-ins. I don't know the process because some states are different. Like my state has temp judges like that. They go through a training. I don't think it's 6 weeks. Like it's not a full legal course, but it's not 6 weeks. You're gonna see irreversible errors. There's no way it's 6 weeks, but you're gonna see reversible error, like really, really badly. You're gonna watch the appellate courts get stacked up, and it's gonna be an absolute mess. So.
They're gonna appoint cops to be judge, jury, and executioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening right now.
And you cannot expect them to be impartial on this because they're beholden to not only DeSantis but Trump. And these were 9 people that they handpicked to deliver these roles to. They're not going to deliver a fair process. They're not going to even offer them any kind of due diligence here. This is a sham of an excuse to say that, oh, look, we've got more judges at the border, when really you don't. You have somebody in a wig.
Yeah.
Yep. Like appointing magistrates, that's one thing, but
Right.
appointing a cop? Come
National
on.
Guard. Yep.
A C
it's
minus
officer,
student.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a flunky.
I mean, well, we've had at least 2 of those out of the last 4 have been presidents, so.
That's
Trump and
true.
Bush. What's our
that is
next
true.
story on the night?
All right, we're winding down here, but a skydiving plane goes off New Jersey runway and crashes into the woods, sending 15 people to the hospital. 15 people were taken to the hospital when a skydiving plane ran off a runway and crashed into the woods near an airport in southern New Jersey on Wednesday evening, according to the authorities. The incident at the Cross Keys Airport, about 21 miles southeast of Philadelphia, involved a Cessna 208B carrying 15 people, according to the Federal Aviation Administration spokesperson, who said it was under investigation. Aerial footage of the crashed plane shows it's in the woods with several pieces of debris nearby. Fire trucks and nearby vehicles surrounded the scene. 3 people are being evaluated at Cooper University Hospital's Trauma Center in Camden, New Jersey, and 8 people with less severe injuries are being treated in its emergency department. Wendy A. Morano, a spokesperson for the hospital, said 4 other patients, also with minimal injuries, are waiting for further evaluation. She wasn't able to provide exact nature of the injuries. Now, I cannot quantify this to be true, but it certainly does seem like we're seeing an uptick in these accidents happening at airports, particularly with smaller
Yeah, I don't know. I
planes.
did see some numbers on it. I think it was a little high, but it wasn't like too bad. So I don't know yet. We know that air traffic control is stressed. I don't know what the situation with air traffic control at these small airports are, but consider them to be
still
stressed.
understaffed.
Seeing some of the reports come back from people that work there, and it is an absolute nightmare. They're not happy with it.
And I think that's
right,
the
we got one
concerning
more
part, is that these sort of bombshell reports may come after the administration is long out of power, and we'll see just how short-staffed and ineffective they were during the Trump years.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have one more story.
That we do. You guys ready? Sean Diddy Combs was denied bond after being convicted of can't say that word. Schmeck's work-related offenses Wednesday. He was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put one of hip-hop's most celebrated figures behind bars for life. The mixed results capped a sordid legal odyssey that shattered Combs' affable Puff Daddy image and derailed his career as a Grammy-winning artist and music executive, fashion entrepreneur, brand ambassador, and reality TV star. Combs remains in custody as he awaits sentencing. His attorneys wanted him released on a $1 million bond, but Judge Aaron I can't say that, ruled against that request, saying the applicable law doesn't follow for Combs' release at this point. Judge has not yet set a sentencing date for Combs. The maximum possible sentence for each of Combs' 2 guilty pleas count is 10 years in prison. After hearing the verdict, Combs held his hands up in the prayer motion, looking at the jury and hugging defense lawyer Tenny Garagos. Combs later continued to pump his right fist subtly, seemingly satisfied that he was acquitted on the most serious charges. Well,
What was it like? Number one, he's a monster, but it's interesting that he took an ex. I can't remember. It was like they didn't find him for sex crimes. I don't know. It was just weird because like the crime that they actually found him convicted of implied that he did the other 2 crimes. Like I know it's not the same set of requirements, right? Where it was like moved someone for purposes of prostitution, not sex trafficking. Like wait, how do you prove that he did that one but not the other one? I don't understand. That is a really confusing thing. Like how did he? I don't understand how they got him on that one, and then he you know what I mean? Trump will pardon him though. Don't worry, because Trump loves Diddy.
Of course he does.
But not the trafficking. Trump loves Diddy.
Yeah.
He said that.
There was a news story that just came out about Garcia, Kilmore Abrego Garcia.
Oh yeah.
Saying that. Yeah. Do you want to read that one?
Yeah, I can pull that one up here. Here we go. Yep, right here. So this is bad news, but not far off from what all of us said would be the case. Kilmar Abrego Garcia says he was beaten and subjected to psychological torture in the El Salvador jail. Let's get into this one here. Boy, this is bad. Kilmar Abrego Garcia said he suffered several beatings, severe sleep deprivation, and psychological torture in the notorious El Salvador prison the Trump administration had deported him to in March, according to court documents filed Wednesday. He said he was kicked and hit so often after arrival that by the following day he had visible bruises and lumps all over his body. He said he and 20 others were forced to kneel all night long, and the guards hit anyone who fell. Abrego Garcia was living in Maryland when he was mistakenly deported and became a flashpoint in President Trump's administration crackdown. The new details of Abrego Garcia's incarceration in El Salvador were added to a lawsuit against the Trump administration that Abrego Garcia's wife filed in Maryland federal court after he was deported. The Trump administration has asked a federal judge in Maryland to dismiss the lawsuit, arguing that it is now moot because the government returned him to the United States as ordered by the court. I think that's BS. That's not moot. If you are wrongly deported and then beaten in prison, you have every right to sue the government that subjected you to
Why
that
would that
torture.
be? Why would that be? That's not moot. Who the fuck would argue that? What kind of lawyer would?
Trump.
What kind of strip mall lawyer would argue that?
Trump.
Hey,
It was like, what do you mean moot? He got damaged. I don't understand that at all. He got damaged, and he is asking for to get the damages remedied. It's not a moot question. A moot question would be like, should I be admitted into this college for this reason? And then you end up getting admitted into the college, but you still go to court for it. What's a moot question? Because it's already been answered. We don't need to ask it. Not this person was damaged is asking for remedies. Jesus Christ. It really is like clown car chaos. Still the funniest term I've heard used referred to the Trump administration. Clown car chaos.
I think this is just shows why they're deporting them to other countries, because if they're in prison in America, they have rights. We can't torture people. That's why Gitmo exists. That's why El Salvador CCOT exists. So that way they can send them to these prisons and they can do things that are inhumane and not have to be accounted for it.
that's right.
And got one more. Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down a nearly 150-year-old abortion ban, 130-year-old abortion ban. Just thought I would throw that in at the end. We good on the news?
That's the news. You got some guy begging.
They're always begging. Begging like a dog.
I'm
These guys,
begging.
they do that for me a lot.